Here we are. Week one is upon us, and we are finally ready to rock and roll after all the offseason drama and after everything else has been upon us. I'm your host, Slater James, and right across from me is my co-host, Mike Welch. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm good, Bubba. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just finally ready to finally get the ball on the ground and play some football because it's
Week
been
one, right?
a long offseason. It has been for not only Cowboys fans, but for all NFL fans. It's a horrible 6 months. You
Yeah, it
know,
hasn't been a lot of fun, but there's been some good things. Some things that have happened recently that probably not going to spend too much time on because it's week one, game one, Thursday night.
yeah.
Teams traveling to Philadelphia. We've had an interesting off season, and I think that we're in as good a position as we can be.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, do you have anything you want to address or talk about from this off season, or do you just want to go ahead and move into week one and playing the Eagles?
No, but I do have one thing. You know
Sure.
how boring it is to watch WWE as an entertainment when you got nothing else to watch? I'm cheering for John Cena on his retirement tour, begging for something to watch. So I'm just happy that football's here, and I saw the team photos of people getting on the plane and stuff, and I'm just happy that we're going to Philly finally.
Yeah.
Tired of
No.
hearing about it. I'm ready to be about it.
a
So
hundred
no, you
percent.
you go right into it. I'm here for it.
Well, I like that. That's really good because we're both avid fans and we know this team pretty well. So I think we're both really excited about the season, but week one's a tough matchup. So I'll do that. I'll get right into what I want to talk about and what I think is important. Um, so with this game versus the Eagles, what do you want to see from Dallas's offense? And I'll go ahead and give you the second part of that question is what do you want to see from their defense?
Honestly, from the offensive side of the ball, I just want to see fundamentals kind of be taken care of. I know a lot of
Mhm.
people are looking for the running game or looking for, the passing game and seeing Schottenheimer's creativity. I'm really focused on the fundamentals. If you notice, and maybe some Dallas fans can relate, is we've really struggled on that. It seems like holding penalties or, unnecessary penalties kind of hurt us on maybe the worst part of the game or maybe even
Mhm.
parts of the game that we don't really look at that it still sets back drives. I'm looking to go from 3 to 7, right? Those drives that we always get to down to the 10 to the 20 and we get staled, right? Because of a penalty or maybe our fundamentals aren't right anymore. We're getting too choppy with our feet and stuff like that. So on the offensive side, I'm really looking for fundamentals and defensively, I'm just gonna say stop the run, right? I mean, you
Of
make
course.
I hate to bring it up, but you made the big trade, right? So you got rid of Micah Parsons. You believe in all your second rounders and your depth at defensive end to stop the pass and hold the edges. But how do we solve the middle? You brought in linebackers this offseason with Sanborn, Kenneth Murray, and you'll have Overshown back eventually. You got Leah
Hmm.
Fowl, who's a missile sometimes, and now you got Kenny Clark. So my question for you would be is do you think Kenny Clark has a big impact only being here a weekend? And then I'd like to hear your answers back.
Let me address a couple things. What I liked about what you said is I just want to see the fundamentals done right. I think it's important that everybody goes out there and just does what they know their job is supposed to be. And nobody's been put in a position on this team yet to where they have to do something outside of what they know how to do and what they're comfortable with. Like in past defenses, we've got a lot of conversion players playing positions that they were not naturally meant to play and that they showed some other skill sets in. I was looking at the roster earlier and like every defensive position we have, whether it be defensive tackle, defensive end, even our linebackers, everybody is of prototypical size and weight as to what they're supposed to be for that position. And I
Yeah,
love that about this team. So, what I want to see them doing is I want to see the defensive tackles doing what they're supposed to be doing in the middle of the field. I want to see the defensive end setting the edges and doing what they're supposed to be doing on the edge. And I want to see the linebackers, whether they're dropping into coverage or they're playing around the ball, or they're closing in on the gaps, do those things. And I
yeah,
think if we can just get back to doing what's fundamentally structured and needed for those positions to do effectively, nobody has to be a hero. Nobody has to be the standout. If we can just do that, to answer that question you asked me or asked was how do we stop Saquon Barkley? It's like I don't think anybody can really shut the man down. But if
yeah,
we can do the things we're supposed to do as a defense and the positions we're supposed to do them, we can minimize the big runs, the big plays, and just do what we need to do to control it as much as we
Yeah.
can.
No, I totally agree with that. I'm glad that you kind of agree with the fundamental standpoint. It seems like, under the Mike McCarthy era, we had always the fundamental issues and stuff like that. I'm really hoping that it's not a Saquon show tomorrow. I mean, as a Dallas
No,
fan,
for sure.
we
We
really
don't
don't
need
want
that.
to see that. But
No.
no, man, I'm glad you agree with that. So
Yeah. Kenny Clark, I think, you had a very strong defensive end unit on our team,
yeah,
and you could give it a high grade, and you can give the person who shall not be named all the praise that he needed. But I think with that departure and Kenny Clark coming in, it kind of closes the gap just a little bit. Like defensive ends right now may have gotten a little bit worse,
yeah,
but defensive tackles just got a little bit better. So it
yeah.
kind of evens things out a little bit, and it gives us strength in both positions, which is gonna make an impact. I have a sneaking suspicion that Kenny Clark's a dog, and he's gonna be a dog in the middle, and he's really gonna help solidify the unit. So, like
Yeah.
we said, if everybody does what they're supposed to do, especially on those edges, we can slow anybody down, right?
Yeah.
So I think that'll play a big role not only in tomorrow night's game, but in the weeks coming up as these
So
guys gel together.
so let me ask you this:
Sure.
opening coin toss, Dallas wins it. You kick in, or you want to receive it?
No, I think it's super important that Dallas comes out knowing that they have to be the aggressor. We cannot be reactionary in this game.
Yeah,
Dallas has to set the pace, and we have to be trying to get our will over on them instead of reacting to their will. I think that's going
totally.
to be a huge part of us having a good chance of winning, right? So that's going to lead me into my next question after you give your response on that is what do you want to see from Schottenheimer as well?
Yeah, so just to answer what I personally, I'm more of a defensive guy, so like I
Yeah,
definitely want to see them kick the ball and just like straight up say like, "Hey, we're here to stop you," right? And I
right.
know people are expecting Saquon to run all over us and be able to run the read options and be
Sure.
aggressive with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and all that, but I'd like to see the defense come out first. I think our offense plays better historically when the defense can kind of show you that like, "Hey, we're going to get the ball back for you." But
Hmm.
I also am going to play devil's advocate and say that seeing, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Javonte Williams, Turpin, Dak, and all those guys come onto the field, and Booker, and how that whole matchup even goes with Jalen Carter and all them on the field, I think I lean more towards offense after hearing you.
Right. Yeah,
So
I think we definitely need to get off to a hot start and throw the first punch. So what
yeah,
about Shotty? What do you want to see from we both know Schottenheimer's an experienced coach. He's been around, got a long run, 30 years, knows football. But, I saw an interview earlier and somebody asked him, you have all this experience, but you've never had to do this where you're the head coach and the play caller. So now you have all this new stuff going on during the game that you've got to pay attention to on top of everything else that's going on with the team on offense and the transitions into special teams and defense and time management and all that stuff. So what do you think Schottenheimer needs to really concentrate and make sure he conveys to the team and to everybody who's watching?
yeah, and I've heard other people say this too, so I'm not really coming up with it. But I like when people say keep his emotions in check.
Right.
You're right. He's been a coach for a very long time in the league, but being the guy is a whole different ball game, right?
Right. 100%.
It's like me becoming a manager, right? When you're in charge of a group of men and they look to you, how do you keep your emotions in check, and how do you control your players on the field? Because it seems
Hmm.
like in past you get players that get frustrated, and then Schottenheimer talks about having a strong relationship with his players. Well, if things are going wrong in Philly, we end up down 14. I want to see him pull the guys to the side and say, "Hey guys, look,
Yeah.
like Dak, CD, all my leaders, Donovan Wilson, guys, relax. Let's play free. Let's play loose. We're making some mistakes, but we're not out."
Right.
It seems like in the past, the head coach just kind of stands to the side and, everyone just kind of, yeah, right, the clapper, right? And then with Mike McCarthy, it just seemed like I want somebody to connect with the players on the field. If because emotions are going to be high, the banners are going to be dropping, they're going to be flashing the rings. I mean, it is what it is. But how do you keep the composure of your team? And even if you're up, how do you find ways to keep on rolling with that momentum? That's where I'm
Uh,
kind of leaning with Shoddy.
yeah, I'm 100%. I think that very similarly, I think it's going to go pretty well for him. I do want to see him, like you said, I want to see him match the emotion of what's going on the field.
Yeah,
If we're performing well and things are up, I want him to be up with the team. They're coming off the sideline, they've made a big play. I want him to reflect that big play. If they make a mistake, somebody gets a stupid penalty or takes a swing or whatever they do, I want to see him grabbing them by the face mask and saying, "You come sit over here with me and let's talk about this." Because that's not going to fly. What I
yeah,
don't want to see is nothing, just even kill the whole time,
yeah.
unless there's no reason to be, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. I just don't want to see. I just don't want to see him look like it's too big for him. I don't think it will be. I think
No,
Brian's got it. I think what he's trying to do and what he's saying he's going to do is going to happen. I have to believe that. So I think he'll have a good night. Hopefully the team will too.
yeah. I totally agree with that. 100%.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Yeah, what you got?
All right. So what player group has to have a big game? Offense or defense, it doesn't matter. But with everything that's going on tomorrow night, who has to have a big? What group of men have to have a big game?
Shoot.
That's a tricky one. I know it's tough. All of them, right? But no, there's
I mean,
there's got to
all
be
of them,
some that
right?
really have
Yeah.
to excel.
Man, I may throw a little bit of a curveball here, but
Sure.
I still want to relate this to coaching. I think the coaches really need to have a good night collectively, making sure that our schemes are in check and making sure that again fundamentals are there, but also adapting. Right? I feel like Philly's
Hmm.
gonna throw some things that you may have not seen during training camp and things you may not have seen on film. How do you adapt and how do you adjust to it? But if I had to pick players on the field, I'm really going to look at the corners. We hurt at corner, and with Trayvon Diggs back and all that, if he does play, it's huge. It's really huge for him to be there. He may not play all the snaps and stuff, but I think if that group of corners can at least contain the pass attack that they have, we may be better off on the running game as well. We won't have to back up. We can stay up in the box.
No, yeah, man, I like that answer though. I love the coach's idea. Yeah, because that is
Yeah.
significant. They get overlooked so much because they make such a crucial impact on how this all turns out. So that's a really good call. If I were thinking of a player group on the field, I think tomorrow night the offensive line has to have the most success.
Yeah.
As we get further in this conversation, you'll kind of see where I'm going, and you'll understand, that. In order for this all to work out, the offensive line really, really has to show their strength and their solidarity as a unit and make sure that we progress as we need to progress because I think it's part of the formula.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, you like the coaches, I like the O line. Out of all the players on the field, what is your key matchup between our team and the Eagles team tomorrow night? What's that one key battle that you really think is going to be significant?
Dak Prescott versus Jalen Hurts. It's kind of an obvious one, but turnovers are going to be crucial tomorrow. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
first game of the season, so you got to get game rhythm. Obviously, I don't think the Eagles played their starters in preseason. I could be wrong on that, but
Hmm.
I obviously know the Dallas starters did not play, right? Because we're holding on to that mystery and suspense of what Dallas is going to look like. But
100%.
how does Dak adjust to game speed? And then if Jalen Hurts did sit out, which I didn't see any highlights or anything like that, how does he adjust to game speed and just kind of getting back in the rhythm? I know he's not really a thrower, and the way that the Eagles are built right now with Saquon, they'll probably lean on the running game and short
Yeah.
passes, screens, but the turnover battle, right? Who's going to throw that first pick? I'm hoping that it's not us, but if so, how do we move forward from that point? But I think the turnover battle is going to be huge between the quarterbacks.
It's a good call. I really think this matchup is going to come down to, I would say it's probably going to come down to like Jake Ferguson versus the linebackers and the nickel cornerbacks and what we do in the flats with our running backs and with Turpin. coming out of the backfield or the slot or wherever the play requires him to be. I think that the battles that you expect on the outside between their two primary receivers and our starting cornerbacks are going to be what they're going to be. We know both of the players and what they do on the field and how they play each other. So I expect that to be similar to what's been done in history. But I think what's going to make the difference in the game, is what I just called out there. So I think that's going to be where we can win most.
Yeah. Yeah, I
You know,
kind of want to add on to that question. I'm gonna throw a couple hot shots, is what I'm gonna call them.
sure,
I was
far
gonna
away.
ask the matchups and who you think is more favored in that matchup.
Sure,
Who has
yeah, I like
better,
it.
who has a better night? CD Lamb, AJ Brown.
CD Land,
All right, Javante Williams or Saquon.
Saquon.
Saquon makes sense, right? Probably because the scheme's built around
I
him.
mean, it's not what I want to happen, but I think he
No,
can still
yeah,
have a good night and we can find success.
Dallas's offensive line or the Eagles' offensive line. And I guess let me put it this way: pressures and sacks. Think about it in that way. Who puts more pressures and more sacks on? So it's kind of the defensive line you're looking at, or which O line allows
Oh
more.
man, that's a tough one because naturally the Eagles don't have to pass unless they're forced to,
Yep.
because they run the ball so well. So that kind of leans it in their favor automatically. If we can somehow slow down the run, we'll get into the opportunity where our defense will come into play on pass rushing. I think automatically with what we know about the Eagles' defensive line and the fact that Dak is known for being a very good, aggressive, accurate passer, and that's how we're going to primarily move the ball. It,
Yeah.
it brings to light that their defense is probably going to be applying most of the pressure for the night. Again, I hope that's not the case. It's not the case the way I would want it, but it's likely what's going to happen. Is I would assume that their defense is going to have more success putting pressure on us. Now, whether that pressure busts the pipe or not is yet to be seen.
Yeah.
But I definitely think our O line can do its job 100%. So that's where, like I said earlier, they need to have a big game as a unit.
All right. One last one.
Sure,
What do you think about this Miles Sanders as RB2 on the depth chart so far?
I hate it.
Do you think it's just putting the rookie on the back end just so he's there? I mean, is there a rookie thing, or is it truly like they're looking to put Miles Sanders on the field more than Jadon Blue?
Okay, that's a great question. Here's my answer to it. Javante Williams is going to start this thing.
Yep.
When he needs a spell, they're going to put in Miles Sanders.
Yep.
When we need to do something, they're going to put in Jadon Blue. If Jadon Blue finds success when Javante Williams needs a spell again, it's going to be Jadon Blue.
Yeah.
That's how I think it's going to go. They've got him at third. I think that's fine, but he's going to have to do what he's supposed to do in order to justify spelling Javante if those opportunities come, in the game or down the road or in the weeks to come. So I think he's in the third spot right now with the hope that he's going to transition to the second one and not just be used as a tool or a trick or a gimmick you know when we get in a pinch
Yeah,
essentially.
no, for sure. I agree with that. I definitely think Jadon Blue's RB3 because of the rookie thing.
Right.
Um, hoping that again that we're not relying on Miles Sanders as much tomorrow. I hope Javante Williams is
Yeah.
back to 2 years ago pre ACL, which I don't know how it works out, but hopefully he's back to a good form, and then hopefully Jadon Blue comes in as the speedy back, right? Any
Yeah.
pitches, thing that's kind of like jet sweeping looking.
Right.
I want him out there. And I don't think he's too bad of a pass blocker. I mean, he's not going to be the greatest pass blocker, but I just want to get out of that phase with what I saw last year and the year before, where Hunter
Yeah.
Luepke's out there, and it's like you're passing when Hunter Luepke's out there. Now, if it's like a third
Right.
and long, obviously we know that, right? Obviously, the whole team, the whole field's going to know we're passing. But on
Sure.
those second and shorts, I don't want to see Luepke in the shotgun next to Dak unless we're handing the ball off to him. So hopefully we can create that mystery too.
Yeah, I want to see multiple backs out there,
Yeah,
and whether they get used or not, or they go out on, they get put to the outside or trips or whatever. I just want to see multiple backs out there so it sets up the option later that we can do something with them that they didn't expect coming. So, you know, if Javante Williams has been, you know, taking every rep and then all of a sudden
Yeah,
Jadon Blue comes in, you know, kind of puts a halo on him. So they're going to know what's up. But if they sneak him in every now and then and he just blocks or stays in the backfield for protection or wills out or whatever, then you know they won't suspect it when we do try to
yeah,
use him as a tool, and that's what we need to do. We need to set up some long game here.
yeah. I agree.
But I'm excited to see what he can do. I really think if they get him out there and give him the chance, and the O line does its job, like I've been saying, they will have success, and that's what I want to see. So, who is your player to watch for Dallas?
It's
Offense or defense, any player, any position you want, but who do you think is a key?
I'm going to take that right side of our offensive line. I'm really in particular, I'm going to look at Booker because Carter's there, but I want to see
Mm-hmm.
Terrence Steele kind of get back to a better form than what he was last year. It seemed like last year he kind of, I don't know if it's a downgrade, but it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
the same Terrence Steele. It wasn't the reliable right tackle. So I kind of want to see him step up to being kind of like that reliable right tackle that we signed to that extension a couple years ago. And then Booker versus Carter, right? How does that go? How do you clear him out the hole? You know, everyone talks about how Booker was a really good offensive guard at Alabama and stuff
Right,
like that. Now he's playing against his former SEC rival in
right.
Georgia,
Uh
which
huh.
I know they only played their freshman year, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how it goes.
So for me,
Oh, the rookie
that
Dak
man,
card.
it's
We
that
looked
man
at
right there.
the rookie Dak Prescott.
You know, I think he's the key to not
Yep.
only tomorrow night's game, but he's the key to success here. You know, Dak is an excellent quarterback. Um,
Yep.
totally underrated. And as fans, you know, I think he takes a lot of heat that he shouldn't take. But if he has a good night tomorrow night, which he typically does, you know, when he plays against the Eagles, whether it's at home or away, if he's my player to watch, and I think if he has a good night, we'll have a good night. So I like the matchup idea that you just gave for the right guard and Jalen out there, but you know, there's so many key battles and key players out there that have to have a good night. So it's just one of those things we got to wait and see how it all turns out. But
Yeah.
for me, it's Dak.
Yeah, I mean, it's so built up. I mean, usually when Cowboys and Eagles play, anyways, it's really built up, and usually the two
Sure.
teams they play against each other are good.
Yeah.
And last year, you know, of course, we lost Dak, so I mean, those matchups weren't as hyped up. But in
No.
2023, that first game when we went to Philly, that
Sure.
was a nail biter, and then
That was a battle.
we put the belt to A on them in Dallas, right? So
Yeah, it
everyone
was a
always
33 to 13 or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Everyone always hypes up this matchup, and especially with it being week one, Philly
Oh, it's
coming off
huge.
with their
Massive.
Super Bowl win. They want to drop the banner in front of Jerry, and
Yeah.
they want to do all this talking. So I'm just excited that we're finally here. We're less than 24 hours away from that ball being kicked off, and finally just no more talking, just play. It's
I
time
know
just
it's going to be a
element.
long day, man. But we're back. That's all that
Yeah.
matters. We're back. All right. So we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I got to ask,
Yep.
how do we stop? How do we defend? How do we control? How do we impact? What do we do about Barkley?
Man, outside of pray,
Yeah.
no, I mean, on a real note, I think it's really gonna. You're missing Overshown, which is kind of your
Sure.
speedy back, so you're gonna have to find a way to kind of fill that void. I don't know how they're gonna do it. I'm excited to see the film on that, but it's gonna be really kind of penetrating those middle gaps, right? You know, they brought in Kenny Clark to hold two defenders and hold his ground, right, or swim over it to get to Barkley in those middle grounds. And then for the edges, it's going to be about containing it. But in the passing game, I truly have no idea what they're going to do when he swings out or anything like that. But on the
Right.
rushing attack, it's really going to be about containing your gaps, doing your job, fundamentals, and then make a play. Don't
Right.
try from left in all the way across the field for a cutback to happen. And next thing you know, it feels like Green Bay wild card game, and Aaron Jones is off for 40.
No, 100%. I'm right there with you. You know, it's like I said earlier. I don't think we can stop him. You
Yeah.
know, but can we stop the 26 and 30-yard runs? You know, and make them have to earn every 4 to 6 yards that they're going to get and stretch it down the field so that hopefully we can get our defense to catch them in a mistake or catch them slipping. But I think with the experience that we have on our defensive line and our linebackers, none of these guys have less than, I think, 2 years experience. Some of them have as much as 9, 10 years, so they all know what they're doing. And I think that's, by design, obviously. We have no rookies on the field. So everybody knows how to do their job. And if they just do, like you just said, do the basic things, we can slow him down enough that we can capitalize on a 10, 11, 12 play drive and cause a mistake, and capitalize on it there. But that's what we're going to have to do, in my opinion, is everybody's going to have to stay home, do what they got to do, be aggressive in the gaps. Don't be caught out of position and let him get to the sideline because he's going to cook you. So
Yeah,
it's just everybody needs to tackle and be where you're supposed to be.
yeah, I totally agree. I think it's going to be huge. I think he's the key to success on defense, and we'll see how it plays out.
So, what is your biggest concern from the Eagles? Is it their offense or their defense for the Cowboys?
It's got to be the offense. I mean, just because we have so many, not really like question marks, I guess, not like a scary question marks, but it's more of like, what's the Matt Eberflus scheme? How is he going to use the DNs now, knowing that Micah's gone? Which Micah wasn't here to begin with this whole training camp. So those guys got lots of good reps, which is a good
Sure.
thing. The linebackers are all new, right? Overshown's not going
Yeah.
to be out there. Leofau will be out there. And then
Right.
it's going to be Trayvon's back for the first time in really 2 years. He kind of played a couple games last year, but right,
Yeah.
we have now
Right.
if Diggs plays, Elam's on the outside. That's the other answer you got to figure out. And Blandon the nickel for the first time in a long time. So how does that all come together? So I'm
Right.
more scared of the offense just because of the firepower they have and the scheme fits for everything. How does
Sure.
Eberflus tie it all together, and what can we learn from it?
Right. Yeah, I think that makes sense, and it makes me wonder, do you think they're gonna do anything with Trayvon in the nickel, or do you think if he plays they're gonna put him on the outside no matter what? I'd like to see how that kind of goes. And I agree. It's also the offense that concerns me the most. It's where their power is, it's where the most of their talent is. Their defensive line is significant and it's intimidating and it does a good job for them, but that's the only part of it I really fear.
Yeah,
I think where they're weakest, we're strongest. So it's really going to come down to how do we deal with how they do the things they do very well with the very talented players they have doing those things. So they're an experienced group and they have a lot of versatility. And I think that's where a lot of people get caught on them is, you can do everything you're supposed to do and still be wrong and still
yeah,
pay a heavy price for it. So I think that's why defensively we really just have to stretch out how long they're on the field and don't let them make those big chunk plays.
yeah. I totally agree. You got two offensive juggernauts on the field.
Sure,
And, the Eagles' defense was good last year. They lost some pieces. And, of course, our defense is kind of revamped from where we at. So it's really going to be which defense can stop the offense more and make, whether it's turnovers or turning those potential touchdown drives, holding them to field goals, right?
sure.
So that's going to be huge.
That's something I didn't think about to just now as we're trying to get ready to wrap this up is, how big of a who do you think has the supremacy in special teams? The Eagles or the Cowboys?
I'm probably gonna say Cowboys, and that's
Me
just
too.
because of Turpin.
Right.
If they throw Jadon Blue out there, I don't know if they will, but
Sure.
Turpin Turpin's a dangerous weapon, right? We all saw it
Right.
last the Commanders, right? Just fumble the ball, grab it, spin move, and you're gone, right? The speed's
Right.
there, so I'm gonna say Turpin because of the returner.
I agree with you. I think we do hold a little bit over them on that. And I think our special teams actually gives us some advantage, especially, in advancing the ball and shortening up the field a little bit. And we probably have the best kicker in the league. So I think between Turpin and Aubrey, that does give us some extra weapons, that I have a strong feeling are going to make an impact tomorrow night. So what do you say? The Cowboys win if.
Cowboys win if they don't turn the ball over.
Okay.
That's where I'm at. I gotta stick with it.
Okay. I agree 100%. I think the Cowboys win if our offense has a really good night and we
Yep.
don't turn the ball over, and we at least slow down Saquon Barkley.
Totally
We
agree.
don't need 170 yards rushing. If we can keep him somewhere between 50 and 80, I think that really, really helps us. We've got to force Jalen to have to make choices other than handing the ball off. So I think Cowboys win in that situation.
It's time to see that rookie Dak, year
Yeah.
10,
Yeah.
decade Dak. All right, decade Dak.
That's why I pulled this one out, man. We
Yeah.
need Dak. We love Dak here, so it's all good.
It's
All
been a
right.
decade, and so now it's time for him to prove it.
Right. So, with everything that we said, final thoughts, score prediction.
My final thought is I hope when they get off the bus to the stadium that the mindsets are right and they're ready just to play free, play loose, and play like Schottenheimer said it, right? But play physical. I want to see some physicality out there. I want to see kind of what we saw in that last preseason game where people were hitting each other, show Philly that we're here for it, right? We've had some changes and we've gone through some struggle, but this is still the Dallas Cowboys, right? We still represent the star. Score prediction, I want to say low scoring. My gut says low scoring, but it's hard to say that when you've been hyping up the two offenses the whole
Sure.
time. I'm going to say 17-13 Dallas.
17-13 Dallas. Okay. So I just want to see them come out and not play reactionary. Don't play scared. Don't play saying how are we going to counter what Philadelphia is doing, right? I
Yeah.
want them to come out with a chip on their shoulder and set the pace and set the standard and show the emotion of what they're feeling and not get caught too much up in what's going on in Philadelphia. I really want to see them go out there and have fun and enjoy playing football and show everybody what we're actually doing and what this year is actually about, because everybody's already counting us out, saying we're a 3-win team and that we're going to start out 0-4 or 0 and
Yeah.
6 and all this, and it's like that. I mean, that's crazy. I don't want them to get too bogged down and caught up on, how big and scary, Philadelphia is, but just do what they're supposed to do because they're all very talented. They're all very, very capable of it. And I highly expect that we're being severely underestimated. So my score prediction is I'm going to say 26-24 Dallas.
Woo. Is it like last second field goal or is it like Philly gets stopped?
I think we're going to end the night with 2 field goals.
Okay. So
Yeah,
it's 20-24 and then 2 field goals and call it a
sure.
day.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. Do you got
All right.
anything else?
Man, I'm good to go. I'm excited about the game tomorrow night, and then I'm sure we'll sit down afterwards, win or lose, and talk. I mean, we're gonna win, but we'll sit down and talk about everything and get ready for next week and go from there.
Yeah, just to kind of give our viewers some information here, you're going to see some old videos from a couple years ago on our channel. Just we kind of Mike and I went through some life changes, good ones, of course, but we are back and we're willing to commit to 2 videos a week, a pregame and a postgame, and then
Sure.
if we find time to do extra, but we'll at least commit to those two. And then I'll drop our X accounts in the description below so y'all can come follow us. I know Mike's very active on there. He likes to respond. He's probably talking ish to Eagles fans if you haven't seen it yet. And we built the game plan, so now we just got to go out there and see how it plays out.
That's it, man.
All right.
We'll see you later.